Some tragedies announce themselves loudly, sirens, screams, breaking news banners racing across screens. This one didn't. This one whispered. It began as a feeling that crept into a room full of powerful people, an unease no one could explain but everyone could feel. The kind of instinct humans are born with but often ignore. The kind that tells you something is wrong long before logic catches up. Conan O'Brien's Christmas party was not just another Hollywood gathering. It was sacred ground, a rare place where reputations rested, egos softened, and people finally exhaled. Deals weren't made here. Masks came off here. For one night, people felt safe. The house glowed with warmth. Pine scented the air. Laughter bounced off polished walls. Old friendships were rekindled over top-shelf drinks. This was Hollywood at its most human. Then Rob Reiner walked in. He arrived with Michelle beside him and their son, Nick, just behind. To anyone glancing casually, it looked normal, familiar. But to anyone paying attention, the room shifted immediately. Conversations slowed. Smiles paused mid-curve. People felt it in their bodies before they processed it in their minds. Rob wore the same smile the world had trusted for decades. The smile that had guided actors through scenes, built timeless films, and made audiences believe in love and loyalty. But up close, it was strained, tight, almost fragile. His shoulders were tense, his posture stiff. His eyes didn't rest anywhere for long. He wasn't arriving to celebrate. He was bracing himself. Nick looked nothing like the son guests remembered. His head was shaved. His eyes were sharp, scanning, restless. He didn't drift into the room. He cut through it. Each movement felt deliberate, charged with something unresolved. People noticed. Instincts flared. A quiet alarm rang inside multiple minds at once. Rob stayed close, subtly positioning himself like a shield. He still believed in order, in appearances, in the idea that if everyone followed the script, if they just stayed calm, things could be contained. That belief had carried him his entire life. Nick had abandoned it. His interactions weren't loud, but they were aggressive in their precision. He questioned people abruptly, challenged them. No greetings, no warmth, just pressure. When he focused on Bill Hader, known for gentleness and humor, the tension snapped tight. Nick's questions weren't curiosity, they were dominance tests. Who are you? Why are you here? Do you matter? The room froze. This wasn't social awkwardness, it wasn't intoxication, it was hostility wrapped in control. Rob stepped in, quietly at first, then firmly. His voice carried the weight of a father who had tried everything privately and now found himself unraveling publicly. What followed wasn't an argument, it was exposure. Voices rose, energy shattered, laughter drained from the room. Guests who had known Rob for 40 years stood frozen, watching a man who once commanded entire film sets struggle to contain his own family in front of everyone. Michelle tried to de-escalate. She always did, but even she looked frightened now. Her eyes darted, searching for exits that didn't exist. At one point, Rob leaned toward a close friend and whispered words that cut through the room like ice. "I'm scared. I don't know what he's going to do next." That wasn't embarrassment speaking. That was fear. Fear from a man who had spent his life believing love could fix anything. When the Reiners finally left, the party didn't recover. Music didn't resume. Conversations didn't restart. People didn't gossip. They stood in silence. Everyone there knew it. That night wasn't drama. It was a warning. And it went unanswered. Sunday morning arrived with cruel indifference. The sun rose over Brentwood exactly as it always did. Bright, calm, beautiful. The kind of morning that mocks tragedy by pretending nothing has changed. Lawns were manicured, gates gleamed, birds sang. From the outside, the Reiner home looked untouched, protected by money, status, and decades of careful living. Inside, there was no movement, no voices, no routine, no life, just silence. Not the peaceful kind, the heavy kind. The kind that presses against your chest and tells you something has ended. The first disruption came from something painfully ordinary, a scheduled massage appointment, a routine Sunday habit. The therapist arrived, pressed the gate intercom, and waited. Nothing. She pressed again. Still nothing. She called the house. No answer. Tried their phones. Ring after ring swallowed by silence. At first, it didn't feel like an emergency. Just off, unsettling. The kind of wrong you can't explain, but can't ignore. Instead of calling emergency services immediately, she reached out to someone who knew that house better than anyone else. Their daughter, Rower, lived just across the street, close enough to always feel safe. Close enough that danger felt theoretical, not real. That call shattered everything. Rower didn't hesitate. She didn't pause to rationalize. She ran across the quiet street, through the gate, into the home that raised her. Every step felt heavier. The air inside was thick, still, wrong. Familiar rooms felt distant, distorted, like sets after the actors have left. Something was missing. Something vital. She didn't scream when reality struck. She ran out the front door, onto the driveway, collapsing as her body struggled to process what her mind couldn't. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but time had already run out. Rob and Michelle were gone. Investigators immediately noted what wasn't there. No forced entry, no broken doors, no signs of robbery, no chaos. The house hadn't been invaded. It had been trusted. That detail changed everything. The fear Rob had whispered the night before echoed now with devastating clarity. The danger wasn't outside the gates. It was already inside. As news broke, the city braced for panic. Helicopters circled. Alerts buzzed. Media scrambled. Everyone expected chaos. A frantic escape, emotional collapse, mistakes. What emerged instead was something far more chilling. Surveillance footage surfaced from a gas station miles away. Nick Reiner walked in calmly. He browsed, chose a drink, waited in line, paid, collected a receipt. No rush, no distress, no visible fear. That image rattled investigators. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't disorientation. This was control. He navigated the city deliberately, using public transport, blending into crowds. Cameras later tracked him to a small hotel room. Inside, details raised alarms. Windows covered, evidence of cleaning, careful movements. These weren't the actions of someone unaware of consequences. When police finally located him, there was no chase, no resistance, no outburst. He surrendered quietly. Nick was placed under constant medical observation, isolated, monitored, officially for safety, unofficially because the central question had become unavoidable. Did he understand what he had done, or did he not? That question would define everything. As emotion flooded the public, experts stripped the case down to facts. No forced entry, no theft, no randomness. The motive wasn't money, it was personal. Forensic specialists examined patterns that spoke volumes. The level of force indicated emotional eruption, what professionals describe as overkill. Not hesitation, not accident. Rage fueled by history, and science does not negotiate. DNA transfer. Injury patterns, microscopic traces. Once mixed, they lock people into moments permanently. Psychologists examine behavior before and after. The confrontation, the calm, the precision, the picture sharpened. This wasn't chaos alone. This was emotional detachment paired with awareness. The courtroom battle would be brutal, but evidence speaks louder than words. Beyond the case, something heavier lingered. Grief. Rob Reiner gave the world stories about connection, loyalty, and compassion. His films taught generations how to love, forgive, and hope. Michelle was the quiet strength behind it all. The steady presence, the anchor. Their loss shattered something universal. The belief that love alone can protect. This tragedy forced impossible questions into the open. When does care become denial? When does loyalty turn dangerous? How many warning signs do families ignore because hope feels safer than truth? The hardest lesson is this: love doesn't always heal. Sometimes it blinds. This isn't just a Hollywood story. It's a human one, and that's why it won't let go. And now that you've heard the entire story, take a moment to think about everything that unfolded. The choices, the pressure, the silence behind the spotlight. Fame often shows us perfection, but stories like this remind us how human these moments really are. If you felt connected, surprised, or even conflicted by what you just watched, that means the story mattered. To keep these deep, emotional celebrity stories alive, don't forget to subscribe for more Fame insights. Your support helps uncover the truths that headlines never tell.